your flesh and blood.
Welcome to Tell Me Your Story, new paradigms for a new world where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. We are here 9 times a week, Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m., and Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m., streaming live at all those times at richarddugan.com. We are on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, as well as YouTube, where you can watch these conversations. I hope that you will take time to subscribe and click notifications so that when a new conversation is posted, you'll be notified and you'll be able to tune in, listen in, and learn, be entertained and inspired. A reminder that Choices, which is my book, 5 Steps for Life, it's available on Amazon.com in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle with Audible, soon to be released. We also ask that if you can support the work that we are doing financially, we do have a PayPal account. It is there for your security as well as ours. And when they ask for an email address to whom you're sending, please go to richard@richarddugan.com. That's the email address. If you go to richarddugan.com, there is also a link directly to PayPal so that you can send us whatever support you can. And we thank you to those who have helped and to those who will help. We also ask that you take time during this decade of perfect vision, the 2020s, to go within to that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place and listen to that still, small voice. And with that, we now take you to our very special interview and guest here on Tell Me Your Story. And welcome to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I am Reverend Dr. D. Richard Dugan. Thank you so much for joining us here on the program. Today's program is going to be, sort of a little different. We've had her on before talking about No Country for Old People. It's a nursing home expose. It's a 3-part, I almost said docudrama. That's correct, docu-series.
Docu-series, yeah.
Which has evolved into a grassroots national movement called, and this is what we'll be talking about, among other things, ROAR, ROAR, 4, the number 4, LTC, and that has to do with respect, oversight, advocacy, and reform for long-term care. So there you go. There's the acronym, ROAR 4 LTC, and we hope that you will stay tuned and have a listen because, folks, I never really thought about it too much long ago, but we're all headed in the same direction chronologically, okay? Hey, I want to thank our very special guest here on the program for joining us here to talk about all of this. And thank you for being here, Susie. Susie Singer-Carter, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad and I feel so grateful that you are giving me another opportunity to get on my soapbox and talk about something I'm very passionate about and hoping to get other folks passionate as I am.
Well, hope so. I hope that people do get passionate because, as I say, if you're listening and you're a teenager, you're heading in the same direction that I am already at. If you're in your 20s, same thing. If you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, I'm in my 60s. I'll be 66 in June of this year, celebrating that momentous ending of 66 years and beginning my 67th year. That's the way I look at it, Susie. It's interesting. You don't come into this world a year old, all right? You have to accrue. You have to accrue the days and the weeks and the months.
So true.
And then you get to celebrate. But unfortunately, we are not recognizing, and I want to kind of start from this perspective. We're not recognizing the importance of people who are, as my mother is now, still alive, going to be 92 in September.
Oh, God bless.
Now, my father passed at the age of 92 3 years ago.
Oh.
And they almost made it to 62. There's a theme going on there for them. But anyway, they almost made it to 62 years. And it's interesting. They were married on June 3rd. Now we got the threes going. They chose that date for a very specific reason from where they were philosophically, as I like to say. They got married on the 3rd because they wanted to have three. Three, as the Schoolhouse Rock would say, three is a magic number. And that's how they looked at it. So let's talk about this aspect of the fact that our society, and I don't know if it's exclusively here in the United States or if it's also some other parts of the world, we do not honor these folks who are fast approaching the 70s and 80s. And a lot of my friends right now are in their 70s and 80s. And obviously my best friend in that regard, my mother of 92. Whereas there's stories and stories and stories. For example, women who have grown up in other cultures over the centuries, especially those who would have this small little hut or cabin or what have you out in the middle of the forest somewhere, and they were referred to, not derogatorily by any means, as old hags, because they had the wisdom and the knowledge. They could whip up a potus or some kind of an herbal tincture and so forth for what ails you. I mean, they had the wisdom, and that was their job. But today, we don't look at our elderly community as having any wisdom at all.
No, in fact, almost the opposite. And shall I just dive in here?
Please dive in.
Okay.
Roar for LTC.
I'm a roarier, so come on. Doesn't get better than that name, right? The truth is that you mentioned the documentary "No Country for Old People," and it is no country for old people, and there's very, very few countries around the world that are set up to value our elder community and support them in the way that they need to be supported. So that's a sad fact. And the documentary, though, that we did was based on my story with my mom in a 5-star facility here in Los Angeles, and not knowing what the heck was going on in the last 6 months of her life, which was torturous, and thought that it was just really my issue with this particular facility. And after finding out from my now partner on my nonprofit, which is ROAR that you mentioned, and also on the documentary, the former federal prosecutor Rick Montcastle, who I became familiar with from watching Dopesick, the miniseries on Hulu, because he was the main person who prosecuted another crisis in our country, the OxyContin crisis, the Sackler family and Purdue Pharma for manufacturing and propagating a horrific crisis. So I found out through watching the documentary that he also had prosecuted another pharmaceutical called Abbott Labs, which off-marketed Depakote to nursing home patients, which are, or not even residents, in order to chemically restrain them. That's why when you often go into nursing homes, if you ever do, you see a parade of people in wheelchairs like zombies. And it's not because of their age, it's because they are drugged. So Rick was the first person who spoke to me, came on my podcast about Alzheimer's and talked about the systemic crisis, and that this wasn't my issue alone, solely, that this was an issue that had been going on for decades, and that he also federally prosecuted nursing homes for 2 decades and never had seen a change. And he happened to be retiring in 2022 when I met him, and he said, if you do a documentary, let us do it together. And I knew I couldn't pass that up. And so we proceeded to do a very comprehensive expose with heart, telling people stories, but also bringing the people that have been advocating, researchers, academia, who, legal professionals who have been lobbying for a better system for over 5 decades, but it hasn't happened. And why hasn't it happened? It's because there is a very powerful lobby who has found their way into the system and is very wealthy, very strong financially, and has, and pays to keep the system status quo, because a lot of people benefit from it. Not the people that utilize the system, but the people that are now owners of the system. And the trouble is that traditional advocacy hasn't worked. It hasn't achieved the change that has to happen. The reason is because of the lobby, and the lobby has situated itself so it also has seats in our legislature. So you're kind of preaching to the wolf in the hen, in the hen house. You're saying to them, don't eat the hens. Well, they're in the hen. They're in there. They're going to do nothing but. So if by any chance that a bill that is lobbied for, that is a good bill, gets passed, it is predominantly performative. There's no oversight. There's no enforcement. And if there is any penalty at all, it again, performative, and is the cost of doing business. So all that to say, how did I get here? Why did I launch this nonprofit called Roar? Because people, after watching the documentary, I include myself in that as well. What the hell are we going to do? Because if we are a society whose elder population is exponentially growing, the infrastructure is maxed out already, and because it's such bad working conditions, because the business model is based on understaffing. They are burning out our frontline providers, our doctors, our nurses, our CNAs. So there's not enough people to care for the people that are there. What's going to happen to our future? And it's only getting more expensive, and they're only cutting our benefits, which are ours. So what world do we make a change? How do we make a change? And I looked historically and said, well, it's the people. The currency that we have is in our constituency, is in our voice, is in the collective. That is the most powerful tool that we have. And you only have to look at other movements for verification of validation of that. Our Me Too movement, our Black Lives Matter, the LGBTQ movements. Those things have made a tremendous amount of change for the better. And it is the only currency we have, which is our vote. Mm-hmm. So we have to have a united voice. And I took a lead from the best at the business, and that's Jane Fonda, who endorsed our documentary, who is 88, who is very valuable at 88 years old, and is leading two movements for climate control or climate change rather, and also democracy. So she, the point is that if we don't talk about it, if we don't make our voices loud, then we, in essence, are complicit. We're just letting it happen. And I know that I didn't know. I'm assuming that there's a whole heck of a lot of people that don't know what's going on either. So I want them to know. I want to empower people. I want to give them the agency to go and vote for the right leaders who are going to support us. And that is why I'm doing a national walk on September 27th, which also coincides with the day that we have now created a national holiday, yearly annual holiday called No Country for... hello, go back. My brain is going blah, blah, blah. It's the National Long-Term Care Reform Day. So this will be the inaugural walk for the inaugural of that day. And I hope in my wildest dreams, this would be the first and last of these walks. And,
that's one of the things that is so, I'm sure, frustrating for anybody who is choosing to participate in a protest for whatever reason, is that it seems like it just takes forever for the powers that be to get the message that they're there for us, that they're not there for themselves or their cronies, et cetera, who I understand. Yeah, okay, we the people, they're part of we the people too. but it can't be just 1 or 2 or 3% of we the people. It's got to be 100%. And no, I get it. You can't please all of the people all of the time. What was that, Barnum and Bailey who said that, something like that? But the reality is that we just can't sit around. I guess my question to you, before we take a quick pause to inform folks about stuff, is that you got families, caregivers, healthcare workers, advocates, and also community members across the nation. Right now, 24 states are committed to the what was it again? The 27th of September of this year. They're coming together to raise awareness and push for better care, accountability, transparency, as well as dignity for the aging and vulnerable Americans. My question to you is, do you really expect a lot of the elderly to show up? Because unfortunately, because of some of the issues that we could go into that have caused a lot of the debilitating diseases, that keep a lot of these folks homebound. I'm lucky. My mother is still running around doing stuff, driving her van, and on and on and on. A lot of folks aren't so lucky that they can do that. So are you going to have how are the folks who are the ones who are really in need? For example, when we were doing the protests back in the 60s for black rights, if you will, or here we are, just recently, with the
No Kings,
Black Lives Matter,
and No Kings,
and No Kings, and women's dignity and so forth. You had people from those communities coming out to protest.
Right.
But we're talking here about the older set. I like to refer to them. I came up with this back in my 20s and 30s when I was first interviewing seasoned citizens. How about that?
I love it. Seasoned citizens. Well, our seasoned citizens, if they can make it, they will. I'm engaging people who have voices, who can speak and roar for these people. I'm talking intergenerationally. I have a 16-year-old high school student who is forming a walk in Boston, Zoe, who came out of the blue, was doing a report for her class, found out about No Country for Old People, interviewed me, and I said, I need your generation because you will inherit this problem, and you and all the generations beyond will continue until it stops. I want people to understand that this is everybody's problem, and it also affects everyone. If you're taking care of your loved one and you run out of money and they're not being well taken care of, who's paying for it? If you're trying to keep them comfortable, some semblance of a quality of life, you're going to have to pay for it out of your pocket. Now, who takes care of you because now your savings is depleted, and so on and so on and so on. All of this stuff is a ripple effect. So but also let me just say, I have, this doesn't just affect elderly people, it also affects people that are disabled. So in our documentary, we did, focus on several people who are in their 40s and 50s that have been disabled and live in long-term care because they have to. I have a woman here in Southern California she's organizing a walk. It will be in Coachella. If that sounds familiar to anybody, that's where there's a big rock concert every year. It's going to be all wheelchairs, her included. So if there are people that live, who want to actually get out and you're wheelchair bound, we'll help you find somebody to organize a walk for you. Just get in hold of us, because I want you to be represented. I want your voice to be heard. I want you to have agency for your future and for what's happening to you today.
Yeah. I was talking with my mother literally about a week or so ago, right around, I think it was just before, might have even been Mother's Day, but maybe it was the week before. And, we sent her a little something, and we don't send my mother anything that she has to store, that she has to put up on a shelf per se. It's always something that she can enjoy for a time, and then get rid of it, throw it out in the recycle bin or what have you. Anyway, I told her, I says, and then this was not in an attempt to garner anything. I says, I still cannot believe that in June I'm going to be 66. She says, you think that's something? I still have a hard time believing I'm going to be 92. we're all going up in age. I mean, that's just the nature of this planet, of this universe, of this reality. You're heading in the same direction that I'm at. Oh, I don't know where you are right now. Not asking. No, don't tell. Okay. I know better than that. I'm not dumb.
You've got a mom, so you know.
Yeah. But
No, I have an anecdote for you. There, you know,
Please.
one of my feel good, you know, guilty pleasures is watching. This is 40. So Judd Apatow and his mother, who actually plays the role at the birthday party, comes up to her daughter-in-law, "Happy birthday, darling." And she's like, "Oh, thank you so much. How do you feel?" She goes, "Listen, honey, enjoy where you're at. Blink and you're 90, okay?" And it's so true. Blink and we are all 90 because it starts zooming up and getting faster and faster and faster. So before you know it, we'll all be there by the grace of God.
Yeah.
You know, I used to ask my mom, who died when she was 89, "How are you?" And every time when she was still able to speak, I'd say, "How you doing, Mommy?" "I am great. Life is good. The alternative sucks." And, you know, and that's the thing. So, you know, people want to live. That's we're wired that way.
Well, I want to be I want to live to be 100 for two reasons. Number one is there's a lot I still want to do. There are places I still want to go with my wife, who I hope can join me along the way. And yet at the same time, I have to outlive my great-grandmother on my mother's side, who lived to be 100. She got one of those letters from the governor, you know,
Yay,
saying
that's awesome.
congratulations on your 100th birthday and so forth. So that
Well,
was
you
a
got
commitment.
some good genes in you then.
I'd like to think so. As a matter of fact, it was 1995 at a family reunion back in Florence, Arizona, where I made that I made that comment that I want to live to be 100. I want to outlive Nana. That's what we called her, my great grandmother. And I don't know what's coming in the next 34 years. Have no clue. All I know is that where we are today and the frustrations that, you're sharing, and especially in light of the documentary and docu-series you've created and other things as well, and this march that's coming up September 27th across the country, all of this stuff is temporary. None of this is permanent. All right? And at the same time, that doesn't mean we do nothing, because sometimes these things, they go on and on and on. And I mean, I have actually heard of, for example, the Russians spent 10 years in Afghanistan, and then for some reason we thought we could do it in 10 days, and we were there for 10 years. It's like we need to learn from history. Love what one guy said. He said, I made the comment to him. I says, "Well, they say that if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it." He says, "Learn what?" And I could not believe the question. Really? Learn what?
Yeah.
That was humorous to me. But that's the beautiful thing about us as we have our experiences and we move forward. We learn and we grow. I just had a coaching session with a gentleman who asked me the question, and I'm trying to think now. I can't remember the darn question. And the universe asks the questions. I'm just along for the ride, Susie. So if the universe pulls the question, I guess I can't go there.
It pulls it a lot from me then. It pulls it a lot from me. I feel it.
Susie Singer Carter is my guest. We're talking about ROAR for LTC, roar for LTC.org. That's ROAR, the number 4, LTC.org. Please go there, sign up, get people involved, get people to sign up and show up on the 27th of September in your community, in your hamlet, your small town, village, city, state, and so forth. And let's make this a national thing. Maybe we could rival, although it's going to be hard, we could rival one of the No Kings days where they had, I heard, 8 million people across the country protesting. And again, this is going to affect you. It's going to affect you as much as the other things that have been protested. You're listening to Tell Me Your Story. I'm Reverend Dr. D. We're talking with Susie Singer Carter, and we're talking about Roar for LTC, which is basically something that we need to get on board with, quite honestly. And I hope that you will. Go to that website I mentioned before, and I'll mention it again, roar4ltc.org. And again, it's I'll spell it out for you, ROAR, the number 4, and then ltc.org. So please do what you can. It's important because you're going to be there someday if you're not already there, and you're going to want somebody there to support you in that particular time. We're talking with a filmmaker who has put together a docu-series. It's called No Country for Old People. It's a nursing home expose, and we talked about it the last time you were on the program. It was a 3-part series, which has evolved into, as we are already talking about, this grassroots national movement. This is, to me, really profound. I know that, for example, my father, 5 days before his passing, they took him to the hospital, and he had a bunch of battery tests done. And 5 days before his passing, he was diagnosed with onset dementia and onset Parkinson's. And I will tell you, there ain't no way he would want to be here with either of those in full-blown form. So I'm glad that he, for 2 reasons. Number one, because of what's going on. It was driving him nuts back then with what was happening 3 years ago, for that matter. I can only imagine what he'd be going through today, although with having dementia, he wouldn't be aware of what's going on, so maybe it wouldn't bother him. But then
sometimes it's a blessing.
Yeah, in a manner of speaking, it can be. I'm gonna tie in something else, because you mentioned the disabled also as part of this campaign, this movement, and so forth. I think about the people who have autism and Down syndrome. I have interviewed on this subject before with guests, and I've kind of come to the conclusion they're the normal ones. Guess why? Because they're focused on the here, the now. They don't live in the past or the future. They live right here, right now. And we don't. So I kind of look at them, it's like, I wish I could do that.
Can I tell you something, Richard?
Please.
That's something that I always say about Alzheimer's. I have I have a podcast called Love Conquers Alls, because I did a film about my mom, Day in the Life of, with Valerie Harper. It's called My Mom and the Girl. Well, if you haven't seen it, I'll give you the link. It's a delightful 20 minutes. It was Oscar qualified, and I'm very proud of it, because it is a joyous look at what can be a joyous, journey, despite the fact that there is no cure yet. And I'll tell you, one of the gifts that I learned, when you learn to lean in into their world, is that they do live. They are the poster people for Zen living, because they only live in the moment. They cannot live in the past, nor can they live in the future. Everything is right now, and when somebody says, well, why should I visit them? They're not going to remember. Oh, they might not remember the way you remember, but they remember here.
Yeah. My wife had an aunt who was in the care unit at Sansom. It was at Sansom Hospital, I think, or in that area in Santa Barbara, and we went to visit her. At that time we were just driving back and forth, and we wanted to see her just to say hello, because we knew she didn't have much time. But she was still sitting upright and talking and everything. And we walked in, and she looked at me and she said, "Are you my doctor?" Now, I had already learned that you do not attempt to pull them to where you are. You go where they are. So I said, "Yes, I am. I'm your doctor." And she said, "Oh, really? Well, don't you have other patients?" I said, "No, you're the only one." And so forth. And it was an extraordinary experience for me, but it sure made it easier in the
interaction,
in the visit and the interaction, because we weren't. No, that's Richard, your nephew-in-law, if you will. I'm
right, sure.
I mean, because she's not in that space where you are. She's in a manner of speaking, you might say she's in a little different dimension. Hence the name dementia, I guess.
Right.
Talk
and
to
it's
us.
okay. Yeah, oh, go ahead, Richard. I'm
No,
sorry.
I was just going to say, talk to us a little bit about how your perspective on all of this, and especially how it ties into the roar4ltc.org.
Absolutely. One of the things I learned being my mom's caregiver, and she lived with me after my stepdad died for a year, and I say she was straddling the wall where she's halfway in, from where she was and halfway to where she was going cognitively, and was fighting like the champ that she always had been. She was a pistol, and it was not an easy year. But at the end of that year, when she had to go into memory care, both my daughter and I said we weren't ready for her to go, and it wasn't easy, right? And the reason why I say that is because most people, and I was included in that, most people don't understand dementia and how to handle it like you did, to go in and to lean in and to give them an opportunity to have dignity, to give them the 20 seconds to think about what they want to say, because if you cut them off, they're not going to remember. So there's all kinds of things, the way their brain is moving. And the problem is with that kind of misunderstanding is that it also happens in our healthcare system. So you have doctors and frontline providers that don't understand dementia or Alzheimer's and make wild assumptions and think that one size fits all and misdiagnose because they don't know the baseline of what it is when you are manifesting any form of dementia, or Parkinson's for that matter, which includes a certain type of dementia. So that's where it becomes very, very frustrating for families, because they become you have the ageism, but then you also have the ableism. So when you have somebody with dementia and of a certain age, now you've got a lethal combination, because you are so undervalued and dismissed as a human being that you become warehoused.
Mm.
And that is a horrible position to be in. That is a horrible way to treat human beings.
I find it interesting the way you phrase this. How upset a lot of people were in 2020 when the country was shut down due to COVID. And then the moaning, groaning, and complaining by a lot of people because of the quote unquote dangers that existed within the nursing homes, or maybe we'll use the generic term, the warehouses, where the elderly were kept. And I'm sitting here going, well, you're complaining about that? What did you do to prevent this from happening? I don't mean the virus. I'm talking about the warehousing. What did you do to prevent that from happening so that we wouldn't lose? In a manner of speaking, one of our most valuable resources. They have so much to teach us.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm constantly gleaning from my mother every time she and I talk.
100%. And and let's say we cut everybody some slack, because before COVID, like I really say that if not for COVID, I would not have seen so glaringly what was going on in these facilities, right? So, and I think that I know a lot of people also became aware. But what you don't know, you don't know. But when you do know, and I'm trying to tell everybody this is what's going on, then we have to do better. If we don't do better, we're complicit. We
Yeah.
are complicit. And I just want to share, you're talking about COVID 2020. That first year of COVID, over 200,000 nursing home residents and frontline providers working in nursing homes passed away that year. That's an extraordinary number. That's more than many wars, okay? More than Vietnam. We lost these people before their time. We didn't lose them to COVID. We lost them to failure to thrive, because they were locked in rooms because there was not enough people to take care of them. And they were they were caring for them to death, basically, because they thought isolating them, or they just did isolate them because it was easier. that is no way to live. Animals die when they're isolated. Babies die when they're isolated. It doesn't matter what age we are human beings. That is a punishment. That's what we do to murderers. We put them we put them in solitary confinement. It's horrific. And it always shocks me that nobody knows that number. And when I tell them that it doesn't just sock them in the stomach like it does me.
Well, and forgive me, I don't wish to be insensitive, but with the issues they've been having in regards to, for example, because we've all paid in, because we've all worked, Social Security, you said there was 200,000 elderly that we lost who were on Social Security and Medicare and all of that stuff. How is it that you're short of money? We lost 200,000 folks who were taking the benefits. They're not anymore. Where's the problem?
There is no financial problem.
That's just numbers, okay? And again, forgive me if it sounds insensitive.
No, it's absolutely spot. You're right on about that. It's absolutely, that is the problem right there, is that money that is all of ours that we pay into that system is being, siphoned out by corporate owners who are protected by the corporate veil. There is no transparency, so we can't get them to, criminally. We can't indict them criminally because they're protected. That's what we want to demand is transparency, because it really isn't the facilities per se. It's the people that own these facilities that have put our system into this crisis, and are taking billions. It's $1 billion industry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, that's the practical side of it all. But we're talking here about, and I've asked this question of some of my guests. You've heard the phrasing, and I'm not even going to use the phrasing. I'm going to reword it here. You've heard how people want to return this nation to a better state, or take it to a better state. Okay. And I sometimes question the logic in that. It's like, well, wait a minute. How are you going to do that? Because over 250 years, it ain't been so great for a lot of different groups of people in this country. Explain that. Explain it to me, Lucy. And it's like, this is not a horrible place to live. All right. Now, Phoenix ain't so great only because it gets hot. Only because it gets hot. And that's why I moved. All right. It's still my hometown. I love the baseball team. My mother and sisters live there.
Oh, good. I'm going to hit you up for Arizona. We need Arizona.
There you go. Well, I'll make some calls.
Okay.
But it's so interesting how, we want to demonize and victimize and castigate and on and on. And it's like, wait a minute, but can't you see the beauty? And I want to ask you in that regard, the question that I've asked some of my guests: what is your feeling about the soul of America?
Wow, that's heavy.
I'll tell you what, have you answered that? But first I want to remind you that you are listening to Tell Me Your Story. A question before our very special guest, Susie Singer Carter. And it is, what's your feeling, if you will, observation of the soul of America, especially in the light of what we're talking about, the Roar for LTC?
Mm-hmm. I feel like there is a soul there. I feel like we, under, not to get political, but in light of the climate that we are navigating, at least in our country, I feel like that soul is not. It's not what we're concentrating on right now, and it's very difficult for people to stay in touch with their soul, because I think everyone's a bit in survival. It's like when you, like say, like when you're trying to care for somebody and you don't know what you're up against. If you're a caregiver, you're in crisis at that point. You're going to make bad decisions, and you're just trying to survive yourself. So all of your your priorities and your bar gets lowered and lowered and lowered, because you're forced that way. And at some point you're like, wait, how did that happen? We had these kinds of morals and now we're down to here. So I think that people are trying to hold on to their soul, and I think there's a big pressure against it. I think that we are fighting that, and that we're carrying. I feel a little bit like Sisyphus, in a lot of what we're doing. And I think, I know it's there. There is a soul, because I'm talking to people with souls all the time who have stepped up. But I got to tell you, it's not easy, because people are just trying to survive. And people, let me tell you, people that wanted to sign up, who have been through this horrific system with their own loved one, have said to me, Susie, I can't, like, it triggers so much for me. I have so much pain from what I went through. PTSD, like I can't, I'm a wreck. And I know that's true, because you can be put through such hell during trying to take care for somebody that, in this situation and the way it is now. So I understand that, and people are just trying to survive. But there is a soul there. I mean, we are, I think that we're battling bad right now. There's a lot of bad out there.
Yeah, and yet at the same time, I would venture you are optimistic.
I am. Maybe to a fault.
I mean, it's not over. We're still breathing. Okay?
That's right.
That's the key right there. Is it's only over when you stop breathing.
Right.
Okay?
And if you stop caring, I mean, I think that for me to be hurt this way is to fuel me, because what is the alternative? Like my mom said, the alternative sucks. What's the alternative? Let it be this way it is, or at least give it a good old try, and see if I can't. I was a cheerleader in high school. Maybe I can cheerlead my way through this and rally people and say, if I can do it, you can do it. Let's do this together. Let's do it. Like, we are powerful. My superpower, I tell people, is that people underestimate me my entire life. And that's okay. That's okay, because I know what I can do. I know what my strengths are. And I am a hard worker. Always have been. And if I dig my feet in, I'm gonna do it. I mean, I will get there. I want all 50 states, folks. So if you go to the website and you see your state is in red, please find somebody to just organize. I don't care if it's 10 people with 10 signs. I want to represent, because then it's newsworthy. Then they can't say, oh, well, it's only in those states. Oh, it's only Los Angeles. Oh, it's only there here. No. This is a national issue.
Yeah. Well, it's something that it's funny, as I continue to do these programs, and 99% of the programming that I do, the programs for Tell Me Your Story, are more spiritual, metaphysical, esoteric, and that concept.
I can't hear you.
Time now. Dad, burn it.
There
we go. All
okay.
Right, here we go in 3, 2, 1. This subject has an impact on the psyche of the population. Each one of these different issues that we're dealing with affects the collective psyche of the population. Obviously, it's going to affect each section, if you will, each tribe in a little different way, granted. But there is an impact, and we need to start taking a look at that, because I've said this before, on this program. We're looking for those new ways of living, because the old ways don't work. Just look around you. Now, again, that's not to say this is a horrible, awful, hellish place to live. No, in the planet and this country is a beautiful place to live. I live in Twin Peaks, California, a mile high. I'm not sure exactly what the elevation of Denver is, but, we're at 5,700 feet. And we're experiencing what we've always wanted, and that is tall pines and clean air and a forest. And actually, we have wildlife of a sort. We have birds, all kinds of blue jays and hummingbirds now with the spring. We've got squirrels and chipmunks and all that stuff. My wife is still waiting for the bear.
Ah,
And I bet you the bear will show up. But anyway, so I don't want to, and I know you don't either, want to paint a black picture of what's going on. It's that these are the realities that we're dealing with, and that's one of the reasons why I talk about them. And I don't know if it has to do with the fact that, you've heard this said, I'm sure, Susie, that as we get older, and especially in our 60s and 70s, we start to say whatever we want because we don't care anymore. What are they going to do?
yeah,
If you're retired, they can't fire you,
right.
And I want to be respectful. I don't want to be crude or mean, but at the same time, these are things we need to take a look at. My book Choices, 5 Steps for Life, talks about making a choice. What kind of world do you want to live in tomorrow? Right? If today's world isn't what you want, what do you want? Well, what do you see it looking like tomorrow? What choices have you made to make that happen? I'm reading 2 books right now. No, one of them is not mine. They're both on financial stability and increase. All right. I'm reading 2. This is the first time in my life where, and yes, it's on Audible, so I'm kind of bouncing back and forth, but it's still reading. All right.
Gotta love Audible. Gotta love it.
And I'm reading these 2 books, and it talks about focusing on what you want, not what you don't want. I love the analogy of a car. Do you know why the windshield is as large and the rear view mirror is so small? It's because what's behind you is not as important as what's in front of you, where you're going.
Agreed.
Where do we want to go?
Agreed.
What do you hope to achieve through this first protest? Do you hope and believe that maybe this will be the first and last, that maybe the powers that be will hear what's going on and do the right thing?
I mean, yes. Let's just say yes. Because I want to do other things.
Yeah.
I got other things to do. Come on, folks. We got other things than to protest, right? We want to get this done and over with, and people are suffering. Let's just stop the suffering. And I mean, when I mean suffering, so that it's really awful. We have the power to stop it. Let's do it. It shouldn't have to go on. I want to tell you something. I also just listened to a book that I found was like a phenomenal manifesto for me to read. Anybody who wants to make things change and think you don't have the power, read Cory Booker or listen to Cory Booker's book called Stand. And he tells so many stories of the average folk, the people that, you wouldn't imagine would ever be able to create a shift, and they do, and it happens. And I stole one of his quotes that he stole from someone else, so I'll share it with you. Is that the power of the people is far greater than the people in power, and that's the fact.
I have seen that. I've actually seen that quote, and that is absolutely true. And this is sort of an extreme, but I think about this in terms of sort of a not so peaceful transition, if you will, to we the people taking control again. And again, I don't mean to be cruel or crude or unkind. There are 340 million people in this country. They can't kill us all if we protest. Now, like I said, I don't mean to paint a grim picture.
It's just a fact, folks. It's just a fact.
Yeah. And we've seen that they've already done this. They've already, sadly, people have lost their lives over some of this
Yes.
stuff. I
Yes.
don't remember, and of course there were those who accused the media of not covering this, but I don't remember during the previous administration from 2008 to, what was it, 16, 15?
Hmm.
I don't remember ever hearing anything about these kinds of things going on. And yet, to deal with that particular issue, more people were deported under that administration than the present administration. And there, as far as I know, there was no violence. Nobody lost their lives, you know. I'm sure there were a lot
all
of unhappy
performative.
people.
It's all show. It's all, to me, it's all show and perform. As a filmmaker, I I've been writing a project about the ancient Rome, and you only have to look at Caligula to see. It's like this is like it's textbook. It's textbook. It's all redirect, and catastrophize so that people think things are happening, and then they become the savior. They become the sultan of of their lives, and they're really just the sultan of greed.
Well, this is where my book comes in, Choices, 5 Steps for Life, because we have to start making the choices for the future that we want. One of my guests said that, that's true. You make choices that have brought you where you are. You're going to make choices that will put you where you will be. But the second half of that, the choices that you make today for tomorrow, are all based upon what you perceive the future to be. That's a huge deal right there. And for you making this choice to promote this, to launch this protest, if you will, on the 27th of September, 2026, across the country. You say right now you have 24 states. It's half the country, almost half the country.
Yes.
And I think when I talked with you the last time as we were setting this up, you weren't quite there. It's like you were still in the teens, I think.
Could be, yeah. I mean, I have been working my proverbial what off, and and I am not beneath begging for people to please just step up and just say yes. As I said, we can have anchor walks, which could be thousands. We can have satellite walks, which just get some signs. You don't need to get a permit if you're under. I think in most states you check with your local authorities, but it's pretty darn easy. You can go on a freeway overhang with signs. That's a great place, by the way. You get a lot of exposure, and just talk about it. Where we'll all be wearing yellow T-shirts that say "Roar" for long-term care. We are warriors. We're using our voice for the people that don't have a voice and can't really speak for themselves. So. This is such a great, it really is the easiest way to take hold and to have agency for your future.
Yeah. Well, it's important because, again, we've said this before, we'll say it again. We're all going in that direction. We're all going in that direction. I do keep getting information from different people who supposedly are in the know. There's no way that we're going to lose the benefits, Social Security or Medicare. We all paid into it. And there's a big enough lobby that it's going to prevent that from ever happening. Well, yeah, they also said that there were companies back in 2008-9 that were too big to fail. And apparently if they failed, it could have been catastrophic. And I was sitting there going, then let it fail. And we'll deal with the aftermath. That's, we're a resilient species. We can do this. But, obviously the powers that be decided, no, we're not going to let it fail. We're going to prop it up and so forth. And I'm going, but how is that the capitalist way? How is that free? I just, I get off on that whole thing.
It's whatever serves the moment is what it is. And that's
right now we need to serve the moment, and we need to let people know about this very special event that is coming up. And that event has to do with a grassroots effort across the country on September 27th. It's the first National Long-Term Care Reform Day. That is part of it. It is a new national holiday or national day that we have formally initiated. There's also going to be a walk that's coming up also on the 27th across the country. We certainly hope that you can participate. roar4ltc.org. That is the website. We hope that you'll check that out. It's the National Walk for Long-Term Care Reform. And again, that website is roar4, that's the number 4, ltc.org. And you can also add to that /roar-2026-walk. And that'll take you to where I guess you can register and all that good stuff as well. We certainly hope that folks will participate as we continue talking about this subject here on Tell Me Your Story. Reverend Dr. D and Susie Singer Carter is with us here on the program. Before we wrap things up, I'd like to know what in the world got in your craw that you felt you needed to jump down on this one?
Well, that would be 3 letters, MOM, my mom. So, my mom was one of my favorite people in the world. And watching and feeling so impotent while I was trying to navigate a better exit for her, whatever that might have been, whether it was going to be a year or 2 years, 5 years, whatever the case, whatever she wanted to do, I knew that my mom would make the choice of her own to leave when she was darn ready. And when she was suffering so much, and then when I discovered that we were not alone, that we were so not alone, we were the norm. We were the norm. And that just doesn't sit right with me. And however you feel spiritually about life, whether you feel like there's an afterlife, whether you feel like you need to leave a legacy, whatever the case may be, I don't really know what's going to happen. I don't know. I just know that my love and my care for my mom has fueled me to care for others the same way, because I can't bear to hear or feel or think that they're going through what my mom went through. And if that is my legacy, then that is my legacy. And if I can be a good example for others to step up, then that's good for me too. I'm in the entertainment business. This is my Oscar.
Wow. And I like that. And in a manner of speaking, you're kind of giving it to yourself, but you're doing the work. You're doing the work.
I'm doing the work. Let me tell you, if I get 4 hours a night sleep, I am a happy girl.
Does this give you sleepless nights, or do you feel as though you're optimistic enough to know that, hey, this is going to be okay, it's going to be okay, and you are able to at least sleep well, even if it's only 4 hours?
Yeah. My only stress is that I want to get what I want to get done in the time frame that I have. I have no doubt that we will make some noise. I have no doubt. I'll throw this out in the ether. If you're with the media, like Richard's given us this platform, please cover this story. It's so important. Please cover it. That's how we're going to get to the powers that are holding it back. So we need to get it out there. Once everybody knows, who's going to say, let them suffer, unless they're horrible people. Sorry, but that's just not humane. So I believe enough in humanity that when people know, they're going to say, I had no idea. This has got to stop.
Yeah. Well, you can't really say that you didn't know, because we're telling you.
That's right.
All right. So please go to the website we're giving out, roar4ltc.org. That's right, roar4ltc.org. And also check out the film, the 3-part docu-series, No Country for Old People. It's a nursing home expose. I tell you, I've heard a lot of the stories. I'm not sure that maybe I watched the trailer. I don't think I've watched the series itself. Yeah. And where is it available if people do want to pick it up? And
it's on Amazon Prime, and Listen, and it's also on Tubi. So Tubi is free. Amazon Prime, if you have a subscription, you can find it there. I know it's a hard watch, but it's also a heartwarming watch. And it's also, you're going to thank yourself because you're going to learn a lot of things that you didn't know and you're going to be better for it. So watch one episode, take a break, watch the studio, and then come back and watch two, and then go and watch the pit, and then come back and watch our show and finish it, because it's really important, and you'll thank yourself for watching it. And yeah,
Yeah.
I can't tell you that more. And it's not because I make money off of it. I don't. Documentaries are always passion projects, so
Yeah.
it's not about that.
That is true too. And I'm curious, as a documentarian, how involved do you allow yourself to get in the documentary? Because I know I don't know if it's an unwritten rule. You are the observer. You're not there to participate in that which you're observing.
Well, in this case, it was both, because I documented what was going on with my mom from her perspective as much as I could, and my perspective, as well as other people in the same situation. So I wanted to show, a cross section of people. And then, so I basically answered the questions, which was what happened, how does it happen, why does it happen, and how do we fix it? And those questions were answered by our experts who have been working on this issue for decades. So I was in it. I was, not, I guess, Michael Moore's in his documentaries as well. So, because I did have a point of view, and it's a point of view that was, I feel, important, which is we need to stop this.
And the majority of your documentaries, and I don't know how many you've produced and released, but your documentarian focus is primarily on the human condition, shall we say?
Well, honestly, to tell you the truth, this is my third documentary. I did two short documentaries for the Writers Guild of America, based on really memorializing women writers who broke the glass ceiling. But if you look at my posters behind me, I was the writer producer of the movie called Bratz for Lionsgate. I also co-produced and wrote on the movie Soul Surfer, which is a big fan favorite. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's very, very inspiring, about Bethany Hamilton with Dennis Quaid and Anastasia Robb and Helen Hunt. And it's a gorgeous movie about survival in all ways. So, I started in children's programming. So moving into this arena of being an activist and also a documentarian is I guess I pivot with the kind of topics and subject matter where I feel I can serve it the best. So I don't really know if I'm a documentarian. I'm just a storyteller.
Well, that's what documentarians do. They tell stories, and we thank you for telling this story. Roar for LTC. I'm sure you're going to have a camera at some of these protests wherever in what part of the country you're in, as well as other people around the country who will be probably filming for you as well and contributing. So we'll see more of how this goes as well. And it's fascinating. It really is, the process in and of itself. We're going to remind you about the film, and it's again the event taking place on September 27th across the country. Right now, 24 states are involved in the National Walk for Long-Term Care Reform. And you can go to roar4ltc.org. We'll be linked to that website as well as we continue here on Tell Me Your Story. Susie Singer Carter is my guest, and Susie, I want to thank you so much for being a part of this program and again illuminating and enlightening our listeners and viewers to this subject at hand. We got a lot of time as far as the release of this particular program to let people know that this is going on. And I want to thank you for the work that you are doing to try to make this a better place for everybody.
I want to thank you for stepping up and being Dr. D. I want to thank you for being so so supportive and so amenable to always, giving me a platform to talk about this. And it does not go unnoticed. And I'm very grateful. And I know everyone that's working with us is very grateful. So thank you so, so much. And don't forget Arizona. I need you.
All right. Arizona, come on, get with the program here. I often speak out to Ireland and say, would you please watch more of the podcasts or videocasts so that your numbers will go up? Well, Arizona, we need you on this campaign here.
We need you, Arizona.
Because you've got a lot of seniors. You got Sun City
That's
West,
right.
and a bunch of other places as well. So, get involved in that regard. I have 3 final questions I'm going to ask you. But before I do, I want to thank you for listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World, where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m., and Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m., streaming live at all those times at richarddugan.com. We are on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and many other locations. And we're on YouTube and Rumble. Hope that you'll subscribe as well as click notification. And if you can, we would appreciate it if you pick up a copy of my book, Choices, 5 Steps for Life, available on Amazon. And it's available in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle. And we also hope that you can leave us a tip. Our tip jar is PayPal. We also have a Zelle account, and you can always drop us whatever you can by using my email address, richard@richarddugan.com, which also works for PayPal. But if you use Zelle, it all comes straight in, and it will be used towards the work that we are doing here on Tell Me Your Story. And finally, we ask you to take some time, especially now, during this decade of perfect vision, the 2020s, to go within, to that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place, and listen to that still, small voice. And with all that being said, we ask of our very special guest here on the program those 3 questions. We've asked them before, but sometimes the answers change. Who is Susie Singer Carter?
Ooh. I'm a Pollyanna a left-handed Pollyanna optimist, perennial cheerleader, mother, daughter, Gaga. I have 2 little baby girls now from my baby girls, and I hope a good friend, and I hope a good storyteller, and I hope a good person.
All right. Well, what gets you up in the morning?
All of what I just said.
And finally, what was your best day?
Oh, I've had too many, to be honest. I would say the days that my daughters were born, both days. Yeah, those were quite extraordinary.
Wonderful. Well, again, Susie, we thank you for joining us here on the program. Folks, please check out roar4ltc.org. We will be linked. And until our next broadcast, podcast, videocast, love to Lal. Jeanette, I'm still listening. Dad, continue to be happy because I am. Smokey, I'll see you on the other side.
Aww.
Mike, thanks for being in my life and letting me be in yours. And to my brother Michael, congratulations, Father. And to my dear friend Zorro, aho, aho.